There are two kinds of people in this world. The people who fail to do what they know they should, and those who keep doing things they know they shouldn't. Guess what? You're both. Hi, I'm your host, life and business coach, Marcy Barker, aka your loving kick in the pants. In this podcast, I'll teach you the 6 steps of my accountability code that will help you wake up with clarity and show up with aligned action steps that make follow through easy and peaceful. All right, let's jump in. Hello, my beautiful people. I am here with Mary Jean. She goes by MJ, and she's one of my favorite people to talk with because we went so deep. So thank you. We'll get into that. But tell us more about you, your stage of life, what you're up to.
I'm 52 years old. I'm a single mom. My kids are all gone. I'm an empty nester.
Pets, you got dogs, right?
I have
and cats.
I have a cat that I inherited from my daughter. Was not my cat, but she's become my cat really quick. I hated that she even came to the house. A boyfriend gave it to her and said, just bring it to the house. Mom will not say no once it's here. It's kind of how that happened.
Yeah.
Now she sleeps on the bottom of my bed because my daughter moved out and couldn't take the cat.
So official empty nester now. Your kids are gone.
No, I still have a daughter, but I'm going to be an empty nester. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
I haven't told you. You do not know my plans that have happened in the last week.
I know. I'm excited you're here because this is like just the beginning. So let's dive into it. You and I met at a business networking group.
Correct.
And everybody there, I felt like a movie star that day because everybody bought my book and I signed all the books. So just thanks for being
everyone
one of those. Everyone
still thinks you're wonderful. So
thank you. Thanks for being one of those people. But we were like, we got to go to lunch. We need to connect. We need to talk more outside of this meeting. And that was really filling for me. Like, it filled my bucket. We both were going through stuff. And I loved hearing about your dirt roads. Can we talk about your dirt roads?
Uh-huh.
So,
what do you want to know about my dirt roads?
Okay, so you're working on a book.
I'm working on a book.
And what's your book about? Why would somebody want to read your book?
It's called Lessons I've Learned on a Dirt Road. And it is all of the lessons that I have learned. So when I go on a dirt road, it's because I need all the things really that you teach. I need to reflect. I need to connect with my Father in heaven or whatever spiritual power I'm connecting with that day. I need to reanalyze myself. There's always a lesson to learn when I'm on a dirt road. And I go on a dirt road by myself. My kids hate it.
Yeah,
they hate that mom doesn't. They don't know where mom's going.
You've had a couple of dirt road stories that taught you a lesson just because you were on a dirt road by yourself.
Oh, all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So tell us about one.
One.
I loved how you talked about your tire got flat or something.
Oh, my Kanab trip.
Yeah, and your phone was out of service.
Okay, I can tell you the Kanab trip.
And somebody tried to, fix your tire and stuff.
So I just will come up with an idea of, I've never been here before. And I've lived in Utah my whole life, never been to Kanab. And I was looking at pictures of Grand Staircase Escalante National Park and thought, okay, I want to go try this out. So my daughter was like, Mom, you're really going? I said, yeah, I'm really going. I booked a hotel. Got in my truck and I went, and she was, I can't believe you're going by yourself. And I said, you know what? I bought a brand new truck 2 years ago. I said, I bought a brand new truck with 0 miles on it with a warranty. So if anything happens to me, I know I'm okay. I can just get in and go. So I went down and the deal was you can go wherever you want as long as we have the GPS coordinates to where you're going. And I was like, all right, I can accommodate that. So I decided to go to a slot canyon down on the Utah Arizona border near Page, Arizona. And that whole adventure is an entirely different adventure and a whole podcast in and of itself. But I'll tell you the flat tire story. So I was in a time lane. I had to make it back by a certain time to check in with them because they were so worried about where I was going. Mm-hmm. So I did my hikes and was on my way back, and I was hauling butt trying to get to where I had service so that I could check in with them. And all of a sudden I'm driving on this dirt road and I'm by myself. There's hardly anybody out there. It was the end of the night. A lot of people were done hiking the trails. And it wasn't a really there's a lot of people there, but it wasn't one of the biggest trails that there were. A little more
Sparse.
A little more sparse in the amount of people that went. So all of a sudden I hear this boom, and I went, what the hell is that? And I went for a few minutes, and I stopped. I pulled over and I stopped, and I went and looked around my truck, and I blew out the sidewall of my tire on my brand new truck. And I sat there and I went, oh no, I knew where my spare tire was. It was underneath my truck, but it was brand new. So I had never figured out how to get the spare tire down.
Been familiar with it.
Where all the tools were to get my spare tire. I didn't even know where my tire iron was or my jack or anything. And I'm on a dirt road. And I went to my phone, and I had heard my phone go off just seconds before it all happened. And so I kind of anticipated that I had service at some point, but I hadn't had service the whole day. There was zero service down there. And it just so happened that in this 15, 20 feet of dirt road
where you got stuck,
where I got stuck and my tire blew, I had service. So I called my daughter-in-law and I was like, I got a flat tire. Where is Carson home? And she's like, nope, he's not home. Just call him on the phone. So I called my son and I said, I need you to guide me on how to do all of this. So he's on the phone telling me how to get my tire down, where all my stuff is, showing me how to do this. Well, now mind you, I'm not the girl that isn't afraid to change a tire. I've changed plenty of them in my life. I'm not afraid.
There's a reason why you go on these trips by yourself.
There is a reason that I go.
You're very self-sufficient. You can take care of yourself. Nobody needs to be telling you what to do.
No one. I can do anything a man can do, and sometimes I can do it better. So
most times.
That's not bad at all, is it?
Hey listeners, the message of waking up and showing up is yours for the taking. In fact, it's free. I've recorded my entire audiobook and I'd love for you to consume it between episodes. Head to marcybarker.com to get instant access to the accountability code Wake Up and Show Up. All right, let's jump back in.
So he guided me through it and I had it almost done. And finally somebody stopped. And there was a few cars that passed on the way, but they didn't stop. Well, finally this man stopped. And I had my tire off. I was just getting ready to put my new tire, my spare tire on, and he came and started helping me. And my son, bless his heart, he just is so wonderful to me, said, Mom, don't you dare let him help you. And I was like, but I'm not going to get him to not help you. And he says, yeah, you are. As soon as you tell him, I don't need the help.
All you have to do is say it and he'll know.
And I was like, sir, thank you so much for stopping, but I really have this. And he didn't listen to me. He kept helping me. So I just I wasn't going to force the issue. But the whole time my son is sitting there going, Mom, you are an empowering person and you want to teach empowerment and you're letting a man do this for you. This isn't the deal. This isn't the plan. Change your own tire.
Yeah.
So I got it all. I mean, he got it on and he was tightening the lug nuts. And while he was doing that, I literally was underneath the truck and I was putting everything away and I lifted the tire in the back of the truck and I did everything else and put the truck down and I tightened the lug nuts. So he did very minimal, but yeah, I changed a spare tire and I had literally 15 feet of service and one bar. All this happened with one bar on my phone in the middle of nowhere.
And your lessons from a dirt road is stories like this, but they're very symbolic of your coming to Jesus moments, right?
They're very symbolic of my coming to Jesus moments and my guiding. It's basically God guiding me to find me.
Mm-hmm. I love this because you have such a strong foundation to listen to God, and I loved that it came through in our calls. And there was a point where we had this whole analogy about a sponge, and I was like, sorry, this is not a dirt road, but hang on, I'm clever. I will tie this into our dirt road. But as we were working together, what was a wake up and show up moment for you where you're like, you know what, I have to change. I have to do things a little bit differently if I want to get out of this struggle.
So I have known for a long time that change was coming. I have felt it. I didn't know what it meant. I just kind of sat back and gone, okay, and I'm a control freak. I want to control every single aspect of my life.
I know.
And I have And I have not had any control whatsoever since my divorce. It was just, okay, we're going to fly by the seat of my pants. And lately I've had even less control because my day job and my real job is changing. It's changing really fast, and it has changed the whole dynamics of my life to the point that I'm diagnosed PTSD, I'm diagnosed manic depressant, I'm diagnosed severe anxiety, which are 3 very debilitating things to have to deal with. And I have a severe diagnosis, so I've had to work through those.
Yeah.
While I was working through your program, while I was working through life events and kid events and all of these events. So nothing got done the way
you expected.
I intended to do, or I hoped to do, but it got done the way it needed to.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yes.
And I can't sit back and go, because I can sit back and go, nope, I probably read through half or listened to half on the book.
Yeah.
But I did not get through your whole book. Does that mean that I can't go back to it later? Yeah, because I will. Because there will be another time that I will open it up, and then it's going to make more sense to me because I'm not going through these other things.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yep. And you're here. You made time to be at this retreat to connect with other women.
And I wasn't coming. I wasn't going to come.
Yeah. Well, you came late, but that's fine. I'm glad you're here. But that's what I love about your whole concept of these lessons I learned on the dirt road, because you have to do it your way.
And I have to do it my way. For the first time in my life, I have to do it my way.
Yeah. So, question, what made you want to hire a loving kick in the pants?
Because I knew there needed to be a change, and I didn't know what that was. So I'm searching for whatever change that is.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's here. I don't know if it's here. I don't know if it's here. I don't know if it's a combination of all of it.
Yeah.
I'm a learner. I like to learn new things, whether that be from books, talking to people. I like to learn. And then I like to turn that around into, okay, how does that fit into my world? Mm-hmm. I've learned to contemplate. So I'm a quiet listener, and you've probably noticed that.
Well,
now that we're actually in person more.
Yeah.
I sit very quietly and I take notes and I write, and I just will jot down little questions and answers or little words that pop into my head. And then I'll come back to that later and go, okay, how did this really manifest with me? But I've learned to be quiet and just listen.
Pensive.
Just listen. And it doesn't mean I'm not engaged. A lot of people think I'm not engaged because I don't contribute. But I don't know what to contribute. So because I haven't adjusted it into my soul yet.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yes. Well, one thing I really enjoyed hearing from you is, listeners, in my coaching program, this particular program, we did talking points. So 2 or 3 times a week, I would send out a talking point to everybody via text, and they were supposed to answer the question with their small accountability group and then just report to me. Done. That's it. They didn't have to give the answers, but you gave me your answers. You probably just copied and pasted them, and I was like, oh, I like she's not going to track her progress. I'm glad I'm getting these little talking points. And they're always very deep. And what I loved is that it was your answer and it was your reflection. And it was honestly why I'm most proud is that you let people in. You let people have some insight. You let people support you, and you let us in.
That's not easy for me.
I know. And I think that alone is like one of the biggest successes, because you say, oh, I'm still looking, something's changing, but you've changed. There's a part of you that's a little bit more willing to let people in, a little bit more willing to talk, a little bit more willing to say, you know what, I deserve more than what's been happening lately. And thank you. Thank you for doing that, because you don't know this, but somebody else on the podcast talked about the impact you had, when maybe it was like, oh, this girl's not really participating. But when you did, impact happened.
Well, that's very sweet.
So I want to remind you of that.
Well, if you remember, my goal and my intent of the whole program was to find me.
Yeah.
Because I've never known me. I was a mother at 17.
Yeah.
I raised 6 kids. I've been married twice. I've given my heart and soul to my family my whole life. Yeah. Grew up in abuse, married abuse. So that's all I've ever known, is what everyone wants me to be. I've learned it as the circus mirrors. that I have to conform to everyone's liking of who I am, and everyone is a circus mirror.
Mm.
So I've been working really hard through the program, through everything else, to find me and look in that mirror as that unobscured, flat mirror that has no
It's
obstruction.
pure.
It's pure me.
Mm-hmm.
So as I've gone through this, I've known what needed to change. And my daughter actually came to me. My daughter-in-law actually came to me last week because my stress level has been through the roof. And she said, Mom, I have a proposition for you. And I said, okay, what's that? And she says, it's time for you to sell your house. Mm-hmm. So I'm informing you of what happened a week ago.
Okay.
It's time for you to sell your house and come move in with us. And I was like, sell my house? This is my life. This is
my space.
This is everything to me. Yeah. It's my one thing that I created for me. I bought the house myself. I've designed it. I've done everything myself.
Wow.
I was like, you're really asking me to give up my house? She's like, it's too much house. You don't need it. I have my daughter that lives there, that I take care of everything. I take care of her kids. I get them to school. I do everything. Yeah. And she says, it's time for you to be you. And you can do that at my house. So I'm putting my house up for sale.
Yay!
Who would have ever thought? And that was a really hard decision for me. But she told me this on Thursday afternoon, a week ago, last Thursday.
Uh-huh.
Suggested it. And I said, okay, I'll think about it. I'll let you know. Just kind of blew it off. And I went to a concert with my son Thursday night. I came home, and when I usually turn on the TV and fall asleep, I just had this feeling I needed to get on my knees, and I needed to pray, and I needed to pray really hard. Mm. And my Father in heaven and I have a whole different relationship, and that's on the side by side, and he's riding shotgun.
Yeah.
And that's how we talk. But that night I literally went to him and I said, I need you to take out all variables, only me. So help me just think of me, which is what I've been doing.
Yeah.
All other variables aside, help me not think about my grandkids, because I worry about where my grandkids are going to end up. I can't think of where my kids are going to end up. All variables outside of me aside. Am I supposed to move? And I don't need this vague answer. I need this really definite answer of, am I supposed to move or not? Because if it's vague, I won't do it.
Uh-huh.
I finally fell asleep, got up the next morning, and I knew with 110% certainty I was supposed to sell my house.
How did that feel? The very next day. How did that feel to have that clarity?
It scared the tar out of me.
Ah.
But I knew it was right. And tears, I've cried for a week. I knew it was right. I knew it was what I was supposed to do. Because she said, Mom, you don't have a yard to take care of. You don't have a house. You don't have anyone's laundry but yourself. All you have to do is take care of you. I'll take care of my own kids. We'll take care of our own house. You and your little space that you're going to have. Mm-hmm. I'm literally going from a 3,000 square foot house to a 600 square foot tiny home.
New beginnings. New. I'm sure you'll find yourself on some more dirt roads.
I will find myself on a lot of dirt roads. She says the nice thing is you don't have to check in. You can be gone if you want. We don't even care. But you don't have the responsibility of taking kids to school, of making sure that everything's taken care of. You can just be you and find you. So it's another step in MJ's discovery of me.
Yeah.
And more dirt roads and more ways that I can connect and get my books written.
Love it. If you could pinpoint one thing that this program helped you in your journey from when we met to now, what's that one thing that helped give you a little bit more clarity?
It's really the whole program. It's just kind of everything and being accountable. I had to be accountable to me. Mm-hmm. I had to make decisions for myself. I'm really bad at making decisions for myself. I can make them for everyone else.
Great at them now.
I'm getting better. I'm not
I
great,
want you to say I'm great at making decisions for myself.
Well, I'm great at making decisions for myself.
Perfect. Well, you having the power, the humility to say, God, this is my prayer. It's just about me this time. That was you taking action on what you needed. And we talked about that in some of our calls, like your conversations with God, they're very important, and you have always taken them very seriously. But for you to shift and say, you know what, let's pair these together. It's time for me. God, this is what I need. So you are great at making decisions for yourself.
And this conversation was really hard with me because I haven't felt that God has answered my prayers for a really long time. And I literally said that. you haven't answered me. You've really left me alone, but I need you to not leave me alone this time. Like,
Yeah.
I was pretty demanding in what I was saying. And I know that's not a traditional way of
Talking to God.
talking to God, but this is what I need, and I need it now.
Yeah.
I know you've asked me for help, but I need that clarification now, not later.
And he loves and cares for you. And ultimately, God wants us to interact with him however we are willing, instead of abandoning him or turning his back. So thank you for joining my program.
So if there's anything, I'll tell you one thing really quick. Today, while you were doing the whole...
Our accountability code this morning.
I don't remember what thing we were doing, but immediately the comment or the quote by Einstein of insanity, doing the same things over and over, expecting a different result. Mm-hmm. I text that to you probably see me on my phone. I texted to my daughter-in-law, and I went, this just popped into my head by something that you said, and I don't know what you said, but that quote popped into my head. And I texted it to my daughter-in-law, and I said, all of this is the different, not doing the same thing over and over and over again. Mm-hmm. I'm finally taking the big step to do something different because I need a different result. So that's really what I think, that's the ending lesson that I learned in all of this, is I had to do something different, not the same thing I've done for all these years.
Love it. Thank you for having the courage to do it. Thanks for letting me be a teeny tiny piece, and ultimately letting me in too, because I know that was difficult, but I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Hey friends, I want to thank you for listening to this episode of Your Loving Kick in the Pants. If you got any value out of this episode, I would love for you to drop me a review or share with a friend what you learned. All right, I'll see you next Wednesday for Your Loving Kick in the Pants.